Welcome to Modern Main Street Podcast. I'm Lisa Balthaser. This show is for local business owners who know the world is changing, who can feel the pressure of economic uncertainty, shifting consumer behavior, AI, automation, and an increasingly competitive marketplace, and who want to understand what it all means for their business. Every week, we'll explore the forces reshaping local business from technology and marketing to economics, operations, consumer psychology, and the future of work itself. But this isn't just another podcast about chasing trends and collecting tactics. It's about helping you understand what is changing, why it matters, and how to position your business to thrive in a world that looks very different than it did just a few years ago. Because local businesses are more than companies, they are gathering places, they are community anchors, they are trusted relationships. And they are part of the fabric that holds our communities together. While the tools and technologies and marketplaces may change, the need for strong local businesses never will. So if you're ready to think differently, adapt faster, and build a business that is prepared for what's coming next, welcome to Modern Main Street. Let's dive in. So the episode today it's kind of a manifesto for Modern Main Street. I titled this episode "Why Main Street is Becoming America's Competitive Advantage," and let's dig into that because this is going to be a really good episode for you if you have a local business. Why Main Street is becoming America's competitive advantage. In the age of AI, economic uncertainty, and an increasingly impersonal commerce, the future may belong to businesses that know how to be more human, more local, and more strategically modern. So I want to open with a little story, a little something for you guys to think about. Imagine your town 5 years from now. The independent restaurant is gone. The coffee shop where people used to meet is closed. The local contractor who has been replaced by some distant platform. The neighborhood retailer is now an empty storefront. The owner who remembered your name, knew your family, supported the school fundraisers, and donated to the community events is no longer there. What exactly did the community lose? The community did not merely lose products, it did not merely lose services, it lost meeting places, relationships, a memory maker, source of local knowledge, local employers, a neighbor, and a piece of its own identity. And this is one of the reasons why I have such a sweet spot for local businesses, because local business owners are really the fabric of our society. And without them, what will we become? We have spent years discussing local businesses as though they were smaller versions of corporations. They are not. They perform an entirely different role. Large companies create scale, local businesses create social and economic texture. And the world is increasingly automated, standardized, and impersonal. And that difference may become one of America's most valuable competitive advantages. I want you to really let that sink in. In this episode, we will explore why local businesses are more important than the revenue alone suggests why consumers increasingly want local businesses, what they want them to provide, why goodwill toward local businesses does not automatically produce sales, how AI can weaken or strengthen Main Street, what local owners must modernize without sacrificing what makes them valuable, and how to turn community relevance into an economic advantage. Main Street does not need to become more corporate to survive. It needs to become more strategically modern without less human. Okay. So, Main Street is not a side story in the American economy. Small businesses are not a sentimental corner of the economy, they are economic infrastructure. The United States, I want you guys to let these numbers sink in. It's super important. The United States has more than 36 million local small businesses. They employ 62.3 million people. That represents nearly 46% of private sector employment, almost half. Small businesses contribute roughly 43.5% of economic activity. Again, a huge chunk. We often hear that small businesses are the backbone of the economy, and I've used that line, and I use that line many times, and I firmly believe it. But that phrase has been repeated so often that it's lost its force, unfortunately. When a local business weakens, a family loses income, employees lose jobs and hours, suppliers lose accounts, commercial properties lose tenants, municipalities lose tax revenue, community organizations lose sponsors, residents lose nearby services, and other businesses lose local customer traffic. A closure is not one isolated event. It sends secondary effects through the local economic network. So when one business closes, it affects the whole community. We measure businesses individually, but communities experience them collectively. Traditional economic reporting may count one closure, as I was saying, but a neighborhood feels the disappearance of an anchor. And I know from my own personal experience, in my hometown, many of the stores that were there when I grew up are no longer there. And it was due to a lot of the box stores coming into the area, and the pricing competitiveness was just not there for the local businesses, and which is a shame. And the area that I lived in is a super, super price conscious area. So it really affected the local businesses. And it makes me sad to see so many places that I used to love going after school, walking home, are no longer there. It hurts my heart. So I want to ask you a question. What businesses in your town would leave a genuine hole if they disappeared? What businesses in your town would leave a genuine hole if they disappeared? Would your own business leave that kind of hole? Here is a deeper strategic question for you. Is your business merely operating in the community, or has it become meaningful to the community? And I want you to sit with that question because that's an important question to ask yourself. Because when you become meaningful to the community, it changes everything. So let's talk about what consumers want local and why wanting is not the same as buying. So here is a 2026 consumer paradox, and you will probably recognize this. There is a lot of evidence that consumer preference is for small businesses, and it has grown. Consumers want small businesses, they want them to succeed. But consumers are under a lot of financial pressure. They may say, I want to support local. I prefer independent businesses, or I care about my community. But then they go ahead and choose the faster option, the easier option, the less expensive option, the business they found first, the provider with clear proof, or the platform that removed friction. The key here is that support local is an emotional preference. It's an emotional preference. It is not a complete business model. Goodwill does not eliminate price sensitivity, convenience expectations, weak positioning, poor follow up, confusing websites, inconsistent hours, slow responses, limited payment options, or a lack of digital visibility. Goodwill does not eliminate those things. Customers do not owe, and this, I really want you to hear me on this. Customers do not owe local businesses their purchases simply because those businesses are local. This may feel uncomfortable to you, but it is essential for you to understand this. The obligation of a modern local business is to convert its community value into a compelling customer experience. Now, I want to tell you a little story about an independent home furnishing store. The owner has excellent taste, as he should, to have a home furnishing store. He has deep product knowledge, long-standing supplier relationships, loyal customers, and a beautiful store. But, but, the website is outdated. Inventory is difficult to explore. Answered messages go unanswered for up to 2 days. The store posts online sporadically. A customer prefers to buy locally, but they cannot determine whether the store has what they need. So they buy online from a national retailer. The local store lost its path to purchasing because it was not certain. It was not clear. The path was not clear. So the lesson from this local home furnishing store is that consumers may prefer local emotionally while selecting convenience behaviorally. The business, the local business, the modern local business, the smart local business must satisfy both. So I want to take a look at, and you may think, you can't do this, but when we go through this, you will see how you, as a local business owner, have a competitive advantage. You may not feel it, but you do. So let's look at how large corporations are trying to do things. Let's examine corporate strategy for a few minutes. Large brands increasingly try to appear personal. You've seen it, we've all experienced it, but are they really? They try to appear relatable, they try to appear community oriented, but think about it. How can a large corporation headquartered on the other side of the country have any connection to a local community? They can't. They appear to be founder led. They try to be conversational and they try to be locally relevant and human. They try. And to do this, they use the following tactics. They use creators to create their great content that's relatable. They use influencers to push their products. They use community managers to talk to their audiences. They use personalized messaging, localized advertising. They use founder stories. They use customer generated content because people talk about large brands. It's easy for them to do that. And they use artificially conversational AI. And why do they do this? Because scale produces efficiency for them. But it can weaken intimacy, which is what many of your customers want. Corporations spend heavily trying to reconstruct what good local businesses already possess naturally. And that's you. That's where you have a competitive advantage. But let's look at the advantages now of the local business. So we already went through the corporate. Corporate America is trying to be more human, more local, more relational. But here's the thing. At scale, that is challenging for them. But now let's look at the local advantages that are really, really difficult for corporate America to replicate. And the first one you'll completely understand. The first one is proximity. You understand the audience because you live and serve it. They serve nationally and internationally. They do not understand the local market like you do. That's an advantage. The second one is context. You know the local conditions, the local preferences, local history, and expectations. As I was just explaining in the previous story, the area that I grew up in Pennsylvania was it's considered a Pennsylvania Dutch area, and people tend to be very tight with their money. It doesn't matter how much money they have. They are very tight with their money. And I grew up around that. I grew up seeing that in the community. So that is a local characteristic that maybe a large company would not understand because it's that area. Then there's accountability. Customers know where to find you. How cool is that? They can't get a hold of the corporation. They have to push buttons to even get a human on the line. But you are right there in the community. They also want flexibility. You can adapt an experience without waiting for layers of approval because you have a small local business, a community business. You don't have to wait for approval from 5 different layers or get permission. They want recognition. You remember their name. You know their story. You know their preferences and their history, like no corporation can. There's also the trust transfer. Your local reputation moves through real relationships, something that a large corporation cannot do. And there's also community participation. You do not merely advertise in the community, you participate in the community. A corporation can purchase targeting data about a community. A local business can possess genuine understanding of it. Big difference. So, understanding this is super important. These advantages, though, are not automatic. Proximity without visibility produces obscurity. Trust without communication remains invisible. Local knowledge without strategic positioning is underused. Flexibility without systems becomes chaos. And if you don't have good systems, you already know what that chaos feels like. It's not fun. The advantages must be operationalized. You must clean up your operations. Now, let's look at another aspect that you may or may not be using to your full advantage. AI changes the equation, but not in the ways that most owners think about. I want to challenge you. I want to challenge the binary narrative. The common debate is, will AI destroy local businesses or save them? That is the wrong question. AI is neither a rescuer nor an executioner. It is an amplifier, and I've talked about this before on other podcasts. It can amplify good systems. So when you have those good systems, AI helps you scale. It also amplifies bad systems. So if you don't have good systems in place, it's amplifying what is not working. It amplifies clear thinking because you have clarity with your potential customers. But it also amplifies confused thinking. So if you are not super clear, your customer cannot find you to work with you. It amplifies strong positioning. And positioning is one of the things, it's one of my big topics for this year because I feel like a lot of business owners are not positioned properly for the environment that we're in. They're too generic because AI can amplify strong positioning, but it can also amplify generic positioning. And many local businesses have generic positioning. AI can amplify excellent service, but it can also amplify impersonal automation. So I want to talk about where AI can strengthen your local business because you want to use AI to the full advantage to strengthen your local business. AI can help you analyze customer questions. Instead of, if you're not sure of an answer, AI can help you sort through it and give a really good answer. AI can help you identify patterns in reviews. AI can draft first conversations in communication. It can create and document procedures or SOPs. Standard operating procedures are super critical to local businesses. And if you don't have them, you should be creating them, because SOPs allow you to hire people, and you don't necessarily need to train them because everything is written. The procedure is written. Everything that you do should be written and documented. AI helps you repurpose your expertise into content. Have a conversation with it. Tell it what you do. Tell the outcome. Say what went wrong and what you learned from it. Because people want to know that too. AI can help you summarize information, improve staff training, prepare follow-up messages, organize customer knowledge. And that is critical because it's so important for you to understand your customers. And when AI can help you to organize that customer knowledge, like what you know about your actual customer, it can help you to show up for the right people. AI is fantastic at helping you reduce repetitive administrative tasks, and it can help you to develop decision support materials and produce more consistent marketing content. But here's where AI can weaken your business. And I want you to hear this too, because while AI is wonderful, it can weaken your business if you don't use it properly. AI can make a local business sound generic, and we've already talked about that. And that has to do with that positioning piece that I talked about. It's so important to position yourself well right now. AI can help you publish empty content. If it's generic, you sound like everybody else. AI can help you automate interactions that require empathy. Remember, AI does not have empathy. It does not have feelings. It cannot show up as human. AI can flood customers with irrelevant communication and remove the owner's voice. And you don't want that to happen. You want it to be your voice. AI can create factual errors. And, I'll tell you, I have found some AI errors. And even recently, when AI first started, it made a lot of errors, a lot. Now it's a lot better. It's usually pretty accurate, but I still find errors. I double check everything I do with AI because you want to make sure that your facts are correct. AI can replace judgment with convenient output, and you can end up adding tools without improving the underlying process. So if you're using AI and it's not helping you to become more productive, more efficient, and better, then why are you using it? So the point is, AI is amazing. It's wonderful when it's used properly, but AI can also destroy your business. So that's an important concept to understand. Use AI behind the relationship more often than you use it instead of the relationship. For example, use AI to prepare a thoughtful follow-up. Do not use AI to pretend that a generic follow-up is personal. Use AI to identify recurring customer concerns, but do not use AI to invent customer understanding you have not earned. You can also use AI to reduce administrative friction, and that's where it's going to really come in handy for you. But do not use AI to remove everything meaningful. All those human touch points, you cannot replace them. So, my strategic point for you as a local business owner is small firms, small businesses do not need to beat major corporations on a computational scale. They need to use technology to remove the operational disadvantages of being small while protecting the relational advantages of being local. So you need to use it. You don't need to compete with large businesses. You need to remain local and personal and human, but you can use AI to help you to scale and get things done faster and become more efficient. The winning local businesses will not be anti AI, and I've heard a lot of that. They will be human led and AI enabled. They're still human in the local business. So the real competitive advantage is trust at a human scale. AI is increasing the volume of content, claims, advice, options, offers, synthetic images. We've all seen many, many of them. I mean, I use AI. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I use AI too, but I use it for efficiency. I show up here each week because I am the human and I want to show you I am real. This is not an image of me. This is not a fake. This is me. AI creates automated messages, and Facebook's had that for a long time. And they also create fake recommendations. As supply increases, evaluation becomes harder. So, as there's more things out there in the world, it's harder to determine what is real and what is not real. So, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, so I apologize. So, the consumer's central question becomes, who can I trust? Local businesses have an opportunity because trust is grounded in visible ownership, local reputation, demonstratable expertise, which is super important for local businesses, customer stories. And think about it, those customers may be known to the community, people may know them. Customer stories, consistent presence, real accountability, human interaction, and community participation. But I want to warn you, being local is not itself proof of trustworthiness. Trust must still be demonstrated. So, I want to introduce the trust at the human scale framework. And there's 5 components to this framework. Being local is not enough. You have to demonstrate it. So, the first thing you need to do is be knowable. Show people your thinking standards, your values, who you are, what you stand for. Be verifiable. Use reviews, results, evidence, examples, specific expertise. Be consistent. Ensure the message and experience align across websites, listings, social media, email, phone, and in-person service. And I actually have a tool that can help you do all that. Be responsive and That for local business owners can be challenging. If you are one person or you maybe have a team, very small team, being responsive is one of the hardest things, but I can help you to set up things that will help you be responsive. Customers don't, they often interpret speed and clarity as indicators of competence. It's not an indicator of competence, but the perception is out there and it affects their buying decision. And you must be accountable. Own problems visibly and resolve them. Publicly acknowledge if something was wrong and you went and fixed it. They want to know that you're going to stand on your word. So I want to ask you to audit your own business. And I want you to be brutally honest with yourselves. How knowable is your business on a scale of 1 to 5? How knowable is your business? How verifiable are your claims? You claim to be the best at this, but what is your proof? How consistent is your presence? And for many of you, I know it's probably spotty because you get to it when you have the time. It's probably not the top priority. And that, I can help you to alleviate that pressure. Also, how responsive are you? Do you reply immediately or do you make them wait? How clearly do you demonstrate your accountability? These questions are critical. And I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Do not calculate an average. Find the lowest score because that is where trust is leaking. And that is what you need to work on. So, modern Main Street's advantage will be won or lost through modernization. Local owners are often presented with two paths: remain authentic but outdated, or modernize by becoming impersonal and corporate. Neither is necessary. I am here to tell you, you don't have to do either of those. Neither is necessary. The real opportunity is human on the front, systematized on the back. And here's what that looks like. The human front end of your business. It's a distinctive point of view, personal expertise, relevant stories, strong customer relationships. Remember, that's your local advantage. Thoughtful service, community connection, super important for you because that is a real advantage over corporate. And responsive communication. And again, that can be a challenge. I get it. Here's what to systematize on the back end, where it can really help you. Systematize your clear customer journey. Systematize that whole journey. Organize your CRM. Many of you have CRMs, but they're not organized. Automate reminders so you don't have to remember. Document follow-up. Review requests. Have them automated. Are you getting consistent reviews? If you're not, you're missing so much. Tracking leads. Customer segmentation. If somebody came into you from a specific ad and somebody else came into you because they had a need, they may have very different needs and interests. but you can help both of them. So they should not necessarily be on the same path. So customer segmentation can be very critical for future buying. Consistent email communication, performance measurement, you should be measuring, AI assisted research and admin. And that AI can help you so much in just that area. The customer should feel the relationship, not the machinery supporting it. They should feel the relationship, not the AI. So let me give you an example of a local HVAC company. Before modernization, leads were arrived through phone calls, social messages, website forms. Some inquiries were forgotten or got lost. Estimates were inconsistent. Follow up depended on the owner's memory. Customers did not hear from the company again after the service, and reviews were requested irregularly. After building better systems, here's what happened. Every inquiry enters the same process. Responses are acknowledged immediately. Estimates follow a standard. Customers receive relevant reminders. Review requests happen automatically. Remember, I told you I have a system that can help you to do that. I mean, you should be getting reviews regularly, but you shouldn't have to call them to ask. AI helps summarize the service notes and draft educational content for them. And a human still handles the diagnosis, the recommendations, sensitive conversations, and relationship building. That's how you keep the human out front and the systems in the back. The business did not become less personal, it became reliably personal, and their business increased. It showed in their numbers. So the key lesson here is that systems do not destroy humanity, but poorly designed systems do. A well-designed system protects the time required for human service. So if you have great systems, you can spend more time connecting with the people. Super important for you as a local business owner. So the last concept I want to introduce to you today, and usually I don't go this long. This is a kind of a long podcast, so I apologize, but I want to really drive some of these things home for you guys. Here, I want to introduce the modern Main Street Advantage framework. And here's the Main Street Advantage, and it's an acronym using MAIN. M. M stands for meaning. What does the business contribute beyond transactions? This is how you should be thinking about your business using this framework. What does your business contribute beyond the transaction? This includes your identity, your purpose, your community role, customer outcomes, and your emotional significance. The A stands for authority. Why should customers trust you? Why you? And this is built through your expertise, proof, education, perspective, and reputation. I is the infrastructure. Can your business reliably attract, serve, follow up, and retain customers? And that includes marketing systems, consumer data, follow up, operations, automation, and measurement. And N stands for neighbor level connection. How does your business turn proximity into relevance? Remember, this is your competitive advantage, and that includes local knowledge, partnerships, community participation, personalized service, market specific communication. Meaning without infrastructure creates a beloved but fragile business. Infrastructure without meaning creates an efficient but forgettable business. Authority without connection can feel distant. And remember, you don't want to feel distant. Connection without authority may feel pleasant but unconvincing. They love you, but they still don't know whether you are the person for them. The competitive advantage comes from integrating all four of these things. This integration is precisely where many established business owners get stuck. It's what I see all the time, every day. They may have built one or two of the elements, and they're working great, but the rest are not there. But growth stalls because the business is not designed as a complete system. That is where strategic advisory becomes different from buying another tactic, campaign, or AI tool. So, I want to leave you with 4 actions that you can take this week. And these are actions that you can replay this podcast again and again and listen to this. But these are things that'll help you to move your business forward. 4 actions to take this week are: number 1, identify the hole you would leave. Ask yourself, and this is a big question, and I want you to be honest with yourself. If your business disappeared tomorrow, what would customers and the community genuinely lose? If you can't answer that, that's one of the problems. Avoid vague answers such as great service. I want you to be specific. Would they lose specialized knowledge, a trusted gathering place? Maybe you have a restaurant. Would they lose a certain experience, faster local help, personal accountability, a connection to local history? Maybe you have your business in a historic building that's an anchor in your town or community. Or maybe they'll lose a particular standard of care. Your answer reveals the raw material necessary for repositioning. Action 2, find one friction point. One is enough for now, and one could make all the difference in the world. Look at the journey from discovery to purchase for your ideal clients. Identify one place where customers must wait, guess, search, repeat themselves, chase a response, or decode an offer. Fix that one thing. Action 3, protect one human moment. Identify one interaction that should remain meaningfully human. Some examples could be the initial consultation, and that should always be human, honestly. Diagnosis, that should always be human. All these should always be human. Service recovery, recommendation, welcome conversation, post-project review. What's the most important one for your business? Do not automate it away. Use technology to create more room for it. Action number 4, before we close. Action number 4, document one repeating process. Choose one task currently trapped in the owner's head, which is where most of the small business, local business things are. They're in the owner's head. Identify one task, one process. Document the trigger, the steps, the decision points, and the desired outcome. The trigger is what causes somebody to go there. Then evaluate whether AI or automation can support that, and then automate that. These actions create awareness and movement. They do not replace complete positioning, visibility systems, and growth strategy. For years, local businesses were told that scale was destiny. The largest organization had the widest reach, the most data, the greatest efficiency, and the strongest negotiating power. Those advantages do still matter, but scale is no longer the only advantage that matters. In a marketplace full of automated messages, synthetic content, distant platforms, and interchangeable choices, people are searching for signs of what is real. They want competence, they want convenience, they want value. But they also want trust, recognition, judgment, belonging, and human accountability. That is where Main Street has its advantage. Not because local businesses should remain unchanged, not because nostalgia can protect a weak business model, and not because customers are obligated to support local businesses. Main Street's future on taking what is uniquely human about local business and strengthening it with modern technology, strategy, better systems, intelligent marketing, and carefully applied technological systems. If you are building that kind of business, I created the Local Growth Hub, which is it's a community where we continue these conversations, translate, make major changes in marketing technology, AI, consumer behavior, and the economy into practical decisions for modern local businesses. You'll find the link with this episode. Local Growth Hub it's my baby. I created it just for the local business owners as a place to learn and grow, and it's a free community. If you are a business, if your business is established and you know it has more potential, you need a clear strategy for positioning, visibility, systems, recurring revenue, and a responsible AI implementation, you can also explore working with me privately. My one-on-one work is for business owners who are ready to move beyond scatter tactics and build a business that is prepared for what is coming next. And we don't know what's coming next because there's energy shortages, food shortages, fertilizer shortages, there's so much going on right now. You need to be prepared as a local business owner, and I help you do that. Main Street is not valuable because it represents the past. It is valuable because when we modernize it correctly, it can provide something the future desperately needs: a better way to do business without losing the human beings at the center of it. And that's why I love modern Main Street businesses. So if you enjoyed this podcast, I invite you to subscribe, and connect with me, or connect with me on Substack or in my school community. I would love to have you there. Thank you so much for listening.